Let's dive in a little bit more to the Dan Campbell fourth down gambling. We'll do that coming up next. It's a Thursday edition of Locked on Lions.
You are Locked on Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. It is Locked on Lions on the Locked On Podcast Network. Matt Dery with you on this, a Thursday, October 13th into Friday, October 14th. Thanks for listening, watching, if you're checking us out on YouTube. And, of course, you can follow us on Twitter at Dery Speaks, at Locked on Lions on Twitter, the Matt Dery Facebook fan page, and, like I said before, on the YouTube channel, Locked on Lions. We appreciate you making us your first listen, watching, whatever it is. Locked on Lions today for this Thursday, a bye week Thursday, is brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. Pick 2 to 5 players. If they score more or less than their PrizePicks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on your entry. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. That's prizepicks.com, promo code Locked On. We do have Thursday night football tonight. Oh, this should be a doozy. The Bears and the Commanders. So if you want to bet tonight and play a little daily fantasy, it's a lot of fun with PrizePicks. Please do it tonight. On the show today, let's dive into some Dan Campbell fourth quarter numbers. We know this. Dan Campbell is fourth down, I should say, gambling. We know Dan Campbell is Mr. Fourth Down. Heck, he went 0 for 6 this past Sunday. What do the numbers look like this year? What were the numbers last year? And what does it kind of all mean in the grand scheme of things? And will anything change? Will Dan Campbell maybe veer away from it now that the team is sitting at 1-4? Again, Detroit with a bye this weekend. Lions is resting up. They'll be in Dallas a week from Sunday to face the Cowboys at 1 o'clock Eastern, noon Central Time, noon Dallas time. Cowboys this Sunday play Sunday Night Football in Philly against the Eagles. Jason Peters, their brand new left tackle, of course, used to play for the Eagles and was on their 2017 Super Bowl team. He said today or yesterday that the Cowboys are going to win the game, kind of guaranteeing he's going to go back to Philly. The 40-year-old tackle, Jason Peters, and the Cowboys are going to win that football game. It would be interesting to see, who do we want Dallas to lose, or do you want them to win for the Lions' sake so that there's almost like a letdown in the next week? So we'll get into that coming up momentarily. Also, some Vegas odds, some updated odds about the Lions. We'll talk about that. And I got to touch on the Dan Snyder situation in Washington, in case you missed today's ESPN.com story. A lot of Lions fans complain about Sheila Hamp, Lions owner, whatever you want to call her. Martha before her, and of course, William Clay Ford. It could be worse. It's not great, but it could be worse. The Dan Snyder story from ESPN today just destroys Snyder and what he's doing in Washington. All right, so the Lions, we know this. They lose a lot of football games. Dan Campbell is 4-17-1 in his first 1+ seasons with the Leos. But we know one thing is for sure. Win or lose, Dan Campbell loves fourth down gambling. 4th and 2, 4th and 4, 4th and 9, like last week. Dan Campbell loves to go for it. This season, the Lions are 8 for 18 in fourth down conversions. That is a 44% clip. Last season, they set an NFL record by going for it 41 times on fourth down. They made 21 of those for a percentage of 51.2, which was good for 19th in the NFL. First 5 games of last year, they were 3 out of 11. So they've gone for it even more this year than last year. and they were 3 out of 11 for a 27% clip. Now, what does this all mean and how does this work? Well, the crack research staff was busy at work trying to figure out if the folks at 222 Rodwood Drive are doing this correctly. Are they overdoing it? Are they underdoing it? Where do they sit in the lexicon, the NFL? So let's go back to last year. All right. You look at the percentage rates. Some Lions fans like, oh, I love Dan Campbell. He's a gambler. All right. But there is an art to when you call for it and how you execute and convert. And here's the point. Last season, the best team on fourth down were the Baltimore Ravens, who sat at a 66.7% clip, tied with Kansas City. Baltimore was a playoff team last year. Kansas City was a playoff team last year. Number 3 at 65%. And again, the Lions were at 51%. 65% was Cincinnati, who made the playoffs. Chargers, good team last year, 64%. Patriots, 64%. Raiders, 63%. Tennessee won the division last year, the AFC South, 62%. Colts nearly made the playoffs a year ago. Carson Wentz blew week 18. They didn't make the playoffs, 62%. Green Bay Packers, 59%. Cardinals, and 56%. Dallas, 56%. Here's my point. All of those teams were good teams a year ago. They won more than they lost. I don't think there was a single team below 500 on that list of the top 11. So, the attempts, so let's see. Yeah, I mean, that is pretty darn good. The most on that list was 34 by the Chargers, and they came in fourth. Again, the Lions last year attempted 41 fourth down conversions, and they finished 19th in the league. The good teams know when to do it. The good teams convert, right? And manage the game properly. I'm not saying that come next Sunday, the Lions should never go for it on fourth down. That's not Dan Campbell. But he has got to pump the brakes a little bit on the usage. Because right now at, 44% is nowhere near the top in the league. So these are adjustments that hopefully this coaching staff is going to make. And utilize their kicker. All right. The next 3 games are all indoors. Dallas, they'll have the roof open, but still. And then the Lions play Miami and Green Bay at home. Where's that game? At Lambeau. I got to remember. I got to look that back up. I might be wrong. Regardless, the next 2 games, let's see what the money badger, Michael Badgley, can do. If it's 4th and 3, it's about a 50-yarder. Let's kick the football. Let's attempt a field goal. And if you're not comfortable with Badgley, punt the football. And let's see what Jack Fox is made of. He's a weapon that they didn't utilize this past week. That is my point to this whole fourth down madness. We got to pump the brakes a little bit on it. Want to tell you about our friends at SimpliSafe. Here's a sports analogy for you. When it comes to burglars, your home is like the end zone, and you need the absolute strongest defense you can muster. That is why I use and trust SimpliSafe Home Security. It's great. At SimpliSafe, your safety is the only thing that matters. It's cutting-edge technology powered by 24/7 professional monitoring agents who always have your backs. You always know that your home is safe. All right? 24/7 monitoring. You don't want to be out on a Saturday night, I forgot to put the garage door down. House is wide open. But SimpliSafe's agents are going to take care of everything, watch for you, and call you the minute a threat is detected in your home and dispatch police or first responders in an emergency even if you aren't home and you can't be reached. Our monitoring experts use proprietary advanced response technology to visually confirm when a break-in is real, so you get the highest priority police dispatch. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplisafe.com/LockedOnNFL. Save 20% on your SimpliSafe security system when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan and get your first month for free. Visit simplisafe.com. That's SIMPLI safe.com/LockedOnNFL to learn more. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. All right, so here we are, week 6 bye. The Lions are off. Got to wait till next week when the Leos travel to Dallas to take on Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, the pride of Central Michigan, Cooper Rush, and the Dallas Cowboys. Is Dan Campbell, is the seat getting warm? What's going on in Vegas? Our friends at betonline.ag have put out their next NFL coach fired or resign odds now that Matt Rule has been let go by the Carolina Panthers. First on the First on the list is Cliff Kingsbury of Arizona at 3-2, followed by Denver's Nathaniel Hackett, who's a horrible game manager so far in his first season. Ron Rivera of the Washington Commanders, 9-2. And then coming in fourth, baby, oh yeah, the Danimal, Dan Campbell at 9-1. Again, Dan Campbell is not going to resign, nor is he going to be fired. We could look at this list. The Lions could go 1-15, 1-16, 1-15-1, 1-16. I still think if this team has a really bad season, I still think Dan Campbell will be back. But he's fourth on the list at 9-1. Frank Reich comes in at 12-1, followed by Kevin Stefanski at 16-1. So that is the latest from Vegas on Dan Campbell's status. At the start of the year, I told you I did not think the Lions were a playoff team. There were many Lions fans, a lot of optimists out there who were ready to crown this team and say, I think they can make the playoffs. The NFC is weak. There's not a lot of good teams out there. Philly obviously was getting a lot of shine, Green Bay and others, but not a great middle of the pack to bottom of the pack in the NFC. And who could sneak in as maybe the third wild card in the NFC? So at the start of the year, will the Lions make the playoffs? The odds were yes, plus 400, 4-1, and no, minus 600, 1-6. Have the odds changed? Yes, they have. Currently, will the Detroit Lions, sitting at 1-4 right now, make the playoffs? Yes, plus 600, 6-1. They've gone up from plus 400 to plus 600. No, minus 1,000, 1-10. 1-10. So, the Lions are not going to make the playoffs. They're 1-4. It's not going to get any easier the next couple of weeks with Dallas, Miami, who's a good football team, and if they get Tua back, look out, and Green Bay. So the Lions are in trouble. So Vegas looked at the schedule and certainly looked at the first 5 weeks, and the odds have changed when it comes to making the playoffs. Again, I was never one that thought they were going to be a playoff team this year. I knew they'd be better. And you know what? The jury's still out. They might still be better. Last year was 3-13-1. Can't get much lower than that. I still look at games on this schedule and say the Lions can win that game. All right? They got 2 with the Bears. The Bears stink. They got to play Carolina. They're playing Jacksonville at home. There are still winnable games on this schedule. What if Miami's got their third quarterback? Spencer or Skylar Thompson or whatever his name is, right? Why can't I know they just lost to a third-string quarterback. But you know what I mean. That was on the road. Lions are going to be at home next week or in 2 weeks. By the way, it's like podcast series game, and Jalen and Jacoby will be there. Jalen Rose, the Lions fan in Detroit, is going to be doing his show from there. If they're going to be doing this podcast series, will Rod Wood call me, and will I be invited to host a live version of Locked On Lions at Ford Field? If I had to guess, the answer is probably no. But keep your eye on the podcast series. That's a new one. Try to get people into the stands at Ford Field. All right, coming up next, I got to tell you this Dan Snyder story and relate it to the Lions. We'll do that next. PrizePicks, baby. You got to love PrizePicks and our friends at PrizePicks.com. Daily fantasy, making entries, betting on players. It's a lot of player projections, I should say. It's a lot of fun. Tonight, maybe you want to take Carson Wentz to throw for less than 300 yards. All right, maybe you want David Montgomery to rush for more than 85 yards in this doozy of a game between the Commandos and the Bears. Well, you want to do that? Go to PrizePicks.com and play. Daily fantasy. It's a lot of fun. I've done it. And it keeps you interested, especially for a crap game like tonight. How does it work? Simple. You pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than their PrizePicks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. What's cool about PrizePicks is they offer projections on all the sports you watch. NHL's underway. NFL, of course. NBA next week. Major League Baseball playoffs going on. NHL, like I said, college football, college hoops, and more. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It is that easy. Safe and fast withdrawals, plus currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Download the PrizePicks app or go to PrizePicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKEDON at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. Hope some of you saw the story today at ESPN.com, an investigative story. Don Van Natta and others doing a great job about the Redskins, the Commanders' ownership situation, and current owner Dan Snyder, who has not been kicked out of the league yet. Now, Dan Snyder has been investigated for misconduct in the office on a sexual level by his employees and himself. He has been accused of stealing from the league and stealing from the other owners. And he's not run a very good franchise. He's run a lousy franchise over the last who knows how many years, and many of the owners want him gone and stripped of his duties and made to sell the team. Similar to what happened with Donald Sterling many years ago with the LA Clippers, and now, of course, Robert Sarver with the Phoenix Suns in the NBA. The fact that Daniel Snyder is still the owner of the Commanders is amazing. He refused for years to give up the Redskins name, even though that was a slur. Finally gave in. All right. They have a lousy stadium. They don't sell out. They're a joke of a franchise. But Daniel Snyder is still there. And he's considered one of the worst owners in football. All right. Now, ESPN has come out with this report where they are anonymously quoting, other owners in the league that want him gone, but they're afraid of him. Because apparently, according to these other owners, Daniel Snyder has dirt on Jerry Jones, Roger Goodell, and other owners, and would leak this dirt out if he's being forced out by the league. Many believe Daniel Snyder was the one that leaked out the emails about John Gruden and stuff. When Gruden said some misogynistic and racist things via email years ago when he was coaching the Raiders. This article is unbelievable. And it just goes to show, if you're a Commanders fan, how dysfunctional that organization is and how good teams, whatever sport it is, if you got good ownership at the top, if you're strong at the very top, you're probably going to win. You're probably going to win. Teams that are well-owned, well-run, do well. Teams that are not, do not. Now, for all the foibles that W.C. Ford had, Martha, now Sheila, and fans and their outrage over the losing and just perpetually sucking every year and not hiring the right people. But the Fords have never been accused of being bad people, of stealing from other owners, stealing from the league, pocketing, Gates and stuff get split a lot of times. 1/32 with other owners. And Snyder's being accused of basically stealing from his fellow owners and from the league. That's something you'll never hear about Sheila Hamp and the Ford family. Lions need to be better. They need to be better at the top. All right? I'm no fan of a team president that has no business being your football. All right? I'm going to give Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell some grace. I want to see after this season where this is going. What if they get some of these injured players back? What if they're good? We're going to see. I'm giving them this season. But if you're a Commanders fan, how would you possibly write checks to that owner? And shame on Roger Goodell and the league for not doing something about this. Oh, there's threats that Snyder may be ready to have some smoking gun on people. Go for it, Dan. You have no business owning the team anymore. It's a black eye for the league. All right, we will have a Friday edition of Locked On Lions tomorrow, lining up a guest for next Monday. Thanks for making us your first listen on this Thursday edition of Locked On Lions. Enjoy the Thursday night game, everybody.